The night was a simple thing. It was a blanket of quiet darkness. Above, the moon was a constant friend, a silver coin tossed into a deep black well. It gave light to lovers on park benches. It guided lost travelers on lonely roads. It was a silent companion to billions of souls, each one looking up and seeing the same peaceful face. Children would draw it with a gentle smile. Poets wrote of its serene beauty. It was a symbol of calm, a predictable and gentle guardian of our dreams. Its light was soft, a promise that even in the darkest hours, something was watching over us. For centuries, we took comfort in its presence. The moon was a map of our own history, marked with craters like ancient scars from a forgotten war. We knew its phases by heart. The new moon, a sliver of hope. The full moon, a brilliant shining pearl. We sent our machines to its surface. We walked upon its dusty ground. We thought we had conquered it, understood it, and made it a part of our own story. It was just a rock, a beautiful, dead rock, caught in our planet's embrace. We felt safe under its pale, unchanging gaze, never once thinking that the gaze was real. But that familiarity was a lie. A beautiful, fragile illusion we had built for ourselves. We lived our small lives, busy with our small worries. We worried about money. We worried about love. We worried about the weather. We never worried about the moon. Why would we? It was the most dependable thing in our sky, a celestial clockwork that never failed. Its light filtered through our bedroom windows, casting long, gentle shadows on the floor. It was the backdrop to our lives, a silent character in every nighttime scene we ever played out. We were like children sleeping soundly in a dark room. We believed we were alone and safe. The moon was just a nightlight, left on by a caring universe to soothe our fears. Its face, with its seas of tranquility and mountains of shadow, was as familiar as our own reflection. We saw a man in the moon, a rabbit, a friendly face. We saw whatever we wanted to see. We were content in our ignorance, wrapped in the cold silver light that we mistook for warmth. We slept, and we dreamed, and we never knew that the eye above us was slowly beginning to open. Then, the strangeness began. It was not a sudden event. It was a slow, creeping chill. It started as a feeling, a whisper in the back of the mind. People walking home at night felt a new kind of pressure in the air. They would glance up at the moon and feel a sudden, inexplicable dread. It was the feeling of being watched. Not by a person hiding in the shadows, but by the sky itself. The moonlight seemed heavier, more focused. It was no longer a gentle blanket. It felt like the stare of a predator, patient and ancient, its attention finally turning towards the world below. The light itself started to behave strangely. Streetlights on empty roads would flicker and die as the full moon passed overhead. Radio signals would fill with a low, humming static that had no earthly source. Scientists at their telescopes noticed the real changes first. The familiar patterns on the moon's surface, the seas and craters, seemed to shift. They were subtle movements, like a sleeping giant stirring in its bed. The dark Maria rippled as if they were made of liquid. New lines, fine as spiderwebs, appeared and vanished on the gray plains. The face we knew was changing. Panic was a slow-growing vine. At first, the reports were dismissed. Mass hysteria, people said. A trick of the light. But the stories grew more numerous, more consistent. People in remote areas swore the moonlight was casting strange, moving shadows that did not belong to any object. They said the moon's glow was no longer white or silver, but had a faint, sickly luminescence. It was a color no one had ever seen before. It made the skin crawl. The feeling of being watched became a shared certainty, a global paranoia that settled over the world like a fine dust. The most terrifying change was in its face. The man in the moon was gone. In its place, something new was forming. The craters and shadows were rearranging themselves into something that looked disturbingly like an eye. A vast cosmic eye, with the Sea of Serenity as its dark, unblinking pupil. It was not a perfect image, not yet, but it was there. A suggestion, a horrifying possibility that the rock in our sky was not a rock at all. It was a part of something else, something alive, and it was waking up. When the truth became undeniable, the world broke. Fear was no longer a whisper. It was a global scream. The markets crashed. Governments held emergency sessions that produced no answers. The carefully constructed order of human society began to fray at the edges. How do you fight the moon? How do you reason with a celestial body that is looking at you? The panic was primal. People fled the cities thinking they could hide from the sky. They hid in basements, in subway tunnels, anywhere the moonlight could not reach them. The night, once a time for rest, became a time of terror. Science, our tool for understanding the universe, was rendered helpless. Astronomers could only watch and document the impossible. Probes sent toward the moon went silent as they crossed an invisible threshold. Every attempt at communication was met with a profound cosmic silence. The static on the radios deepened, sometimes forming patterns that sounded like a slow, rhythmic breathing. Religious leaders offered prayers, calling the moon a god, a demon, an angel. New cults formed overnight, worshipping the awakened eye in the sky, offering it sacrifices in the desperate hope of earning its favor. Humanity split into factions of fear. There were the deniers, who clung to old science and reason, insisting it was all a natural phenomenon, however bizarre. There were the bargainers, who tried to find a way to appease the entity. They launched rockets filled with messages of peace, with art, with music, hoping to show that we were not a threat. And there were the resigned, who simply accepted their fate. They sat outside in the strange new moonlight, waiting for the end. They understood on some deep, instinctual level that our time as the dominant species was over. The world held its breath, united in a single terrifying vigil. Every night, billions of people watched the sky, tracking the slow, deliberate changes on the lunar surface. The eye became clearer, more defined. The light it cast grew colder, more analytical. It was not an angry eye. It was not a benevolent eye. It was simply an eye that was aware. It was studying us. We were a curiosity, a colony of insects scurrying on a piece of dust, suddenly noticed by the giant whose garden we inhabited. The silence from the moon was the most terrifying answer of all. Now we live in a new reality. The age of wonder is over. The age of the open eye has begun. The moon is no longer a symbol of peace or romance. It is a monument to our own insignificance. Its presence dominates every aspect of our lives. We have learned to live with the constant, silent observation. We build our new buildings underground. We work during the day and hide during the night. The rhythm of our world is no longer dictated by the sun, but by the watchful gaze of the awakened moon. Its light is a reminder of our smallness. The horror is not in a monster that attacks. The horror is in the knowing. We now know that we are not alone in the universe, but the life we have found is not our equal. It is ancient, vast, and utterly alien. We are nothing to it. Our lives, our history, our hopes and dreams, they are as meaningless as a single grain of sand on an infinite shore. The moon does not hate us. It does not love us. It simply is, and its existence has shattered our understanding of our own place in the cosmos. We are no longer the center of anything. We are left with a quiet, creeping fear that never goes away. Every time we look up, we see it, the great eye. It watches us be born. It watches us live our frightened lives. It watches us die. We have no idea what it wants or if it wants anything at all. Will it one day close its eye and go back to sleep? Or will it one day act? This uncertainty is a poison that has seeped into the soul of humanity. We are mice living in the walls of a house, and the owner is finally awake and listening to us scurry, so we endure. We survive. We look up at the night sky, not with dreams of exploration, but with a deep and abiding fear. The stars seem more distant now, colder. The universe has revealed a sliver of its true nature, and we are terrified. The familiar silver disk is gone forever, replaced by a cosmic entity that has turned our sky into a cage. We are small, we are fragile, and we are being watched. The moon is awake, and the night will never be safe again. We are children of the open eye, forever living in its cold, silent shadow.